Halo teman-teman bola.com, kembali lagi bersama saya Heri Kurniawan di Bola Break. Eh, Kali ini kita menjauh sedikit dari sepak bola dan kita akan mewawancarai sosok yang menarik nih. Beliau memiliki garis keturunan Indonesia dan Australia. Ini dia, Luke Dwi Putra Smith. Halo Luke.
Halo, apa kabar semua?
Oke,
I'm here
kabar
in
baik, kabar
UAE.
baik. Luke, apa
I'm
kabar?
here in UAE
Sehat-sehat?
in a small. Sorry?
Sehat?
Sehat ya, everything good, healthy, bagus sekali sini.
Bagus sekali. Oh ya, Luke. The first question I would like to ask you. Probably you have been asked about this question so much. I want to know about your Dwi Putra name, the story behind it, please.
Yeah, I've been learning a lot about my family heritage. My mother is Indonesian,
Hmm.
my father is Australian British, and so my mom grew up. She was born in Manado.
Manado, ya.
Yeah, and she was with a big family that moved to Java when they were
Hmm.
young and settled and made their family life in Jakarta.
Hmm.
So I have lots of aunties and uncles and family still there. And last year, when I had the privilege of joining Proliga, even for a short stay, I was
Hmm.
able to reconnect with my Indonesian heritage and see
Hmm.
the culture again. I was born in Jakarta in 1990.
Ya.
We soon moved. My father's work took us around the world until we settled in Australia when I was 6 years old. So every year when I was younger, uh, we would always fly to Indonesia for a vacation,
Hmm.
1 or 2 weeks in Jakarta, or we'd go visit other places around Indonesia. So I always had like a taste of the Indonesian culture. I was always half Indonesian.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was really nice to learn about my heritage, where my Dwi Putra name comes from.
Hmm.
Because for an Australian having a strange name, it was I wasn't so proud or aware of
Yeah.
what Dwi Putra even means, and being so different to all these Australian kids with normal Western names like Luke Smith, a boring name. But as I
Yeah.
grew older, I really realized like Dwi Putra is a cool name. Like it's unique. Luke Smith is so boring.
Hmm.
And I started to learn more what it meant. And then, of course, it has the Javanese origins.
Yeah.
The second child, my eldest brother. So I'm one of three boys, and
Yeah.
we all have Indonesian middle names. My oldest brother, his middle name is Sadewa, and my youngest brother, his middle name is Satria. So my mom always kept the Indonesian names within all us sons.
That sounds Japanese name, all of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because my grandmother was originally Javanese.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
my grandfather was from Manado.
Yeah, you just like me. I'm Japanese also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
half there, half
Oh,
mixed. And
got
as I
that.
realized,
Okay.
I thought like there isn't so much big difference surely
Mm,
in between Indonesia there, but there is between all the
mm,
islands. It's very big difference of culture, of mentality of people, and it was
mm.
really nice to explore that and experience that last summer when I was able to play for Pertamina for a short while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you spent your childhood in Jakarta? No? Or
No, I was born in Jakarta, but then I moved when I was 1 years old
oh,
to
1 0.
we
Yeah.
lived in Stavanger, Norway. We followed my father's work. And then
Mm.
when I was 6 years old, we relocated and settled to live in
Yeah,
Australia
yeah,
in
yeah.
Perth. So yeah, we would visit once a year when we were young. I loved it. It was amazing to see Jakarta and even travel to different holiday destinations. Um, but yeah, as I grew older and as I started to become a professional volleyball player, then there was no opportunities to return to Indonesia up until last year, finally as a player.
Hmm. You said before you have vacation here in Indonesia once a year. Do you have
I
any,
used to,
yeah,
yeah, I used to.
special, maybe Bali or Jakarta, or you visit any other places?
Uh, I really want to do a family like expedition. That's
Hmm.
one of the things I realized last year traveling to Indonesia because we visited the cities of the first 3 rounds of Proliga. So I was able to experience Yogyakarta. We traveled to not Bandung. It was where Pempek is from.
Oh, Palembang.
Palembang. Palembang. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I really, at someday, would love to go back to Indonesia just to travel and take my children and to.
Hmm.
I really want to visit where my oppa is
Hmm.
from. Oppa Theo, he was not with us anymore. He grew up in Tondano, so I hear all the stories from
Hmm.
my uncles, all the family history of growing up in Tondano in Manado.
Yeah.
Uh, and actually, I learned about my family tree that goes 7 generations back, and it's really nice to learn about the great 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 grandfathers because yeah, my family was quite important for the time in Manado. Yeah, we had a name, and there's a special bloodline connection we have to some people that helped develop Manado.
Hmm. Wow. Quite a
Yeah.
story. Quite a story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's really interesting. And now I'm at an age where I have my own children. I'm really curious and I'm learning more
Hmm.
about this. So there will come a time where I will return to Indonesia for this like family history travel and try see the places and
Hmm.
see the ancestry that I have in my Indonesian side.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's move on to your volleyball career. So
Uh-huh.
volleyball, is it volleyball your first sport back then when you were younger? Your first sport
No,
to?
it's funny. I only started playing volleyball when I was 15 years old, so
Hmm.
quite a little later. I have an Australian father, an outdoorsman, so I played lots of sports, especially Australian football was number one in my life
Hmm.
for most of my years. We also did sailing boats in the summer. And I tried lots of different sports that I enjoyed. In Australia, there's cricket, there's tennis. I also love skateboarding. So skateboarding and Australian football was my number one sports until I was 15, 16 years old. Then I was introduced to volleyball and started taking it seriously. And yeah, I just love the sport. I love the team sport. And because I'm Indonesian, I didn't grow very tall until later. So I have the mix of very tall genetics from my father's side. And
Hmm.
also for an Indonesian, my mother is quite tall, even though Indonesians are
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately quite a lot smaller than Europeans.
Hmm.
So I had this unique gift of growing really late and growing really tall. So around 15, 16 years old, that's when I began to grow over 2 meters or
Hmm.
close to. Even compared to my family, it's a freak because my father, my brothers are like 190. My mother is normal size but tall for an Indonesian, and I was shot up in 2 years of teenagehood, and it suited really well for volleyball. And also, lucky it meant that I had like sports coordination, hand-eye coordination before I got tall. Where
Hmm.
sometimes you see players go tall too fast and they don't have the skills of how to use their body. I have the Indonesian moves, the ability to be smooth and control the body rather than
Ah,
just being like a robot, someone too tall that can't control their legs and arms.
okay. So you start professionally when you were in high school or?
No, that's introduction to volleyball.
Hmm.
So that was playing in school, finishing school, going to
Hmm.
university, and then after I finished high school, I received the scholarship to the Australian Sport Training Center. So this was in
Hmm.
Canberra. So I lived in Perth, on the western of Australia, and then
Hmm.
at 18, 19 years old, I moved to the other side, the capital, Canberra, where they have the training center for all the sports, for all the Olympic sports. And I accepted this scholarship, which means I lived there to train every single day, to develop a sporting career and develop my body and have all the facilities there together
Yeah.
to become an athlete. So I was very lucky to receive that, where I could focus full time on volleyball whilst also studying university and also having some sort of job so we can
Hmm.
pay for our living. Um, so yeah, so I moved away from home to full time volleyball training when I was almost 19 years old.
Hmm.
And after 1 year in the training center there, I was ready to begin my professional career. Professional, but if,
Hmm.
for Australians at the time, there was a coach that would bring junior players, like the talented, let's say, graduates of
Yeah.
the Australian AIS, it's called Australian Institute of Sport, and two or three young Australian players that were at a good enough level could begin their professional European careers. So this head coach of Australia or assistant coach of Australia was a head coach of a club team in Sweden, and
Hmm.
so that gave me the first opportunity to go overseas and play one European season in Sweden. And that was the beginning. That was the stepping stone. It wasn't fully professional because in this country the volleyball isn't so big, also. So it's like a semi-professional sport.
Hmm.
Um, but we learn how to live away in another country. We learn how to cook and prepare, live for ourselves, so that we can develop our careers and be able to become a sportsman.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was the career start. I guess you could say professionally started in Sweden in 2011, 2010, 2010, 2011 season. And from there, everything just picked up. I have Indonesian skiing.
Hmm.
I jump like an Indonesian, and I'm very tall. So this was a big advantage for beginning my professional volleyball career.
Oh yeah. You say before you have Indonesian and Australian, right? Is there
Yeah.
and you play for Australian national team? And is is there any option before or any person from Indonesian Federation to call you to play for Indonesia?
No, it's it's possible, but as I found out with my mother, so
Hmm.
first of all,
Yeah.
no one called me because I didn't really develop to a high level of volleyball
Oh.
internationally until later into my 20s.
Hmm.
But from 19 until 26, I was a big potential player with everything ready. But I chose Australia had given me everything, like they'd
Hmm.
given me the scholarship. I had the obligation to Australia, and I did inquire about renationalizing, like changing a passport or something like this. And I knew that I could have the option of being British, United Kingdom, on my father's family side, or Indonesian. But as I found out from my mother's citizenship, she ended up changing her Indonesian passport to Australian for the sake of it being easier for her to
Yeah.
live in Australia, for sure, to be a permanent resident and a permanent citizen. But unfortunately, Indonesia's rules is that you can't have two passports. You can't be a
Yeah.
dual passport holder. So you have to sacrifice one or the other. So of course I chose to be Australian, as they provided me the career into volleyball and the opportunity. And then if I wanted to go Indonesia, I realized I'd have to sacrifice my Australian. However, if I wanted to be also British, so European, I could have two. So of course, I chose the option where I can have two passports. So I hold a United Kingdom passport for my father's older family side, and my Australian from my own citizenship and where I was born. It was a nice idea to play with the idea of going to Indonesia, but at the end of the day, for a volleyball career, Australia is a more successful national team country than Indonesia. So, for example, I went to the Olympics in London
Hmm.
2012,
Hmm.
which wouldn't have been possible in any other if I was representing any other country, United Kingdom or Indonesia, other than United Kingdom having the home Olympics in
Hmm.
London.
So that makes sense. Your choice, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For a volleyball career
Okay.
and being able to travel, I really respect
Hmm.
how volleyball has grown in Indonesia. But if Indonesia wants to make the next level into the international level, to be able to play and win and rise their rankings, then they have to open their systems and minds to getting players to play overseas, bringing in international experience to capitalize on the virality of volleyball right now,
Hmm.
for example. So if it's really popular right now, it has to grow. Otherwise, it'll stay the same and it'll stay below the level of the world and never be taken as seriously or never be able to get to
Hmm.
the highest level of volleyball internationally.
Okay. Let's back to what happened last year when you play for Jakarta Pertamina. Actually, we met before in press conference in Pertamina.
Uh-huh.
I took
Okay.
a
The
picture
Pertamina
with
press
you.
conference. Yeah, the first one. Yeah, in
Yeah.
Jakarta. Yeah.
Okay. So I was wondering back then, what makes you receive or accept the offer from Jakarta Pertamina, or it's
Uh,
because your family or any other option, any other reason?
it was a personal reason. Yeah, just where I was in my life and career. Personally, I was very curious to learn about my hidden away Indonesian side because it's not something that I explored much or was. Yeah, I always considered myself an Australian, and so as I got older and as I had my own children, I said, "Well, where am I from? You know, like what about my Indonesian ancestors?" Because I see how important the family is for you are from your parents, your kids are so much the same like you, and the generations go up and up and up. And for most of my life, my Indonesian half was black. I didn't know it. I never learned it. I didn't see it enough. So it was more my desire to go to Indonesia started maybe like 1 year before when I said I called up my relatives one time in Indonesia and I said I'd really like to play in Indonesia. I really like to see you guys, see the family that I haven't seen in a long time. I'd really like to learn more about where I come from, where my ancestors are. So that's it started with the idea of okay, I'd like to play in Indonesia because now I'm at a place in my career where I'm not chasing the highest level. I'm not trying to be in the national team anymore. I retired from playing for Australia. I don't want to play World Championships, World Cup, Olympics anymore. I have a family. I'm ready for the next chapter. And so at the time I was playing in Czech Republic and I had the idea like I'd really like to learn about Indonesian volleyball because I'd known about it. It wasn't considered a high level.
Mm.
Uh, However, the more I learned about it, I started to follow the Proliga. I started to follow a few of the teams, and I could see that they were really like building and developing uh, the sport. And there were some good players, some international name players, finally going to Indonesia,
Mm.
which was good indications. So I said, okay, I'd like to go there one day. I didn't know when, and so I finished the season in the Czech Republic, where I live now with my family. My two daughters and my wife is from Czech Republic. And then I signed a last minute contract in Japan. So this was going from Czech Republic, which is middle to high level Europe, going back to the top level, even though I retired from Australian team. So I signed with Vorias Hokkaido and I played a really hard and good season with the Hokkaido team. And it was during this season where the conversations with Indonesian contacts started to develop. And it was by Christmas of 2023
Yeah.
where I asked my agent, I said, hey, can you find me a contact for Indonesian league? Because I really am starting to like, I'm being called by my
Mm.
homeland. Like it's coming up in my mind a lot. I don't know what it is exactly, but I'd really like to return. Indonesia was calling me, you know, my half of my soul that I didn't really learn too much about. Um, yeah, and so by Christmas of 2023, I was in contact with an agent representing clubs of the Indonesian league, and they presented me an option to play for Pertamina in
Mm.
Jakarta. I said, great. I started to learn more about the league and the different teams. And yeah, by Christmas I signed, but it was a little bit difficult because of the schedule. In that, if our team made playoffs in Japan, it would have been very hard to join for
Mm.
when Pertamina wanted me to start training. So anyway, the magic happened and it all worked out where our team didn't extend and I was able to be released by my club earlier, I'd say,
Mm.
earlier than they wanted because I asked them personally, like, look, I'd really love to go to my home country of Indonesia. Can you release me? And so yeah, with good friendships and relationships, I was released from Japan. And then within 1 week, I fly back to Jakarta and begin the new adventure and chapter. But I arrived in Jakarta right on Lebaran. So I had all this free time. I arrived in Jakarta ready to train, ready to start working and changing my body to the hot and humid, sweating, high temperatures because the gyms are not air conditioned
Yeah.
in Indonesia. And then I said, okay, let's train. And no one was there. Everyone went home I had like 7 days where I was like, I'm here in Jakarta. Okay. So it worked out really nice because I wasn't training volleyball. There was nothing to do whilst all players were fasting for Idul Fitri. And I was able to see all my family that I haven't seen for a while and share
Mm.
the celebrations with them.
Oh, so is there any from family which is Muslim or?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I have. So my mother had uh, two older sisters, two older brothers, and so
okay.
within, and they all live in Jakarta.
Hmm.
Uh, so they all have their own children, and so there's a lot of cousins to see. So cousins are around
Mhm.
my age, and so a lot of the times I'd be chilling in Simpurug in the Pertamina
Ah,
residence,
yeah.
and I get a call from a cousin say, "Hey, I'm driving past. I pick you up. We go get some satay. We go get. I take you to this food place." So it was really amazing because I arrived and I was ready to train, but there was no training, so I was able to visit and see
Hmm.
and taste the real Jakarta because I still have a lot of family there, which was really nice.
Okay, look, you right now play in Uni Emirat Arab, right? In UAE, United Arab.
Yes,
Yeah. So,
United Arab
what's
Emirates. Yes.
what's the plan for your future? Maybe you
Uh,
come back here, play in Indonesia again, or?
yeah, I feel Indonesia calls me back. I don't know if that's necessarily as a player. It was very hard to be injured and to finish up in Pertamina, but it was
Hmm.
also a blessing. I'm really grateful for the club, the organization, because they handled it as well as I could. I still have the scar on my finger
Oh.
for when my finger fell off. Yeah, you can see here. There's the
Yeah, yeah,
scars.
yeah, yeah.
So that was, that was it was meant to happen. That was God's plan. Let's call it. I was injured in the second match last year. I kept trying to play. I was really lucky that I could put stitches in and I could take my finger together and try and help the team. But they needed to make Final Four, and so I was eventually replaced after my finger was bleeding. I tried to play a few matches and
Yeah.
wasn't a good situation, but I really had the feeling that I will keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. The decision was out of my hands, and I was happy to leave because I gave my all, my
Okay.
spirit. Not just now that I'm 34 years old, and I really believe that there's more than just playing volleyball. There's like
Yeah.
the mental side, the spirit, and the energy you give to the people. Uh, because sometimes you pay for these big, expensive international name players, and they are not nice people. They are like this. They are very arrogant. They treat their players and the coaches with disrespect. But I don't know. Maybe it's my Indonesian side. I like to be friends. I like to have connections and to help other players and help make the team energy positive because I believe this is important for winning, for making championship teams, in my
Hmm.
experience. So, will I go back to Indonesia? I am very happy here in UAE because for family, it's not so far to travel from Europe. My daughter now needs to be in school, so uh, it would be difficult for me to play one season without my family with me. This is one of my conditions that wherever I play, I will only choose a place where my family can join me and we can be together, or I will not play. For me, I'm in a situation like this, like, or I will go back to Czech Republic and find another thing to do
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
around my family because it's the most important thing for me. Um, so I'm happy to re-sign here in UAE. I think I will stay with this club. We are playing the final of a gold medal cup tomorrow, so which is really good. Hatta is a team actually. The team here in Hatta had Indonesian coach and players 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the Bayangkara MVP Farhan, he played
Hmm.
here as well as Jordan because there was an Indonesian coach. So
Hmm.
Hatta here is normally a lower team, but this year with me and some other foreigners and the local players, we've built a really good team. Now we're in the final of the final cup. So I think when there's success, you stay with the success, and everything here has been good for me personally, for volleyball, for family, for life. So I think I'll stay here for UAE. It's a good place for me. If Indonesia calls, I'll always pick up the telephone. But also, I feel that if Indonesia wants to get serious and bring in international experience and develop their volleyball, I
Hmm.
think I could help with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying for sure no, not as a player. I'm maybe busy for 1 year, let's say. But if they call me after, I'm always open.
Yeah.
But I really want to help Indonesia grow as a volleyball country. If I can, if I have an opportunity to in the future, then I think that might be most likely how I will return to Indonesia. as a
Oh.
coach or as someone that can help develop the clubs, professional
Hmm.
systems, club systems, everything like this. Because my experience of the Indonesian league last year was fine, but it still wasn't at a level that you need to develop sports to make higher level, because you have international level of standards of clubs, of trainings, of equipment, of organization, everything, of mentality, of physicality, and then you have Indonesia, which stays at its level
Hmm.
and is slowly creeping up. But I really believe that the Indonesian level can be top of Asia. 100%, I believe, having played in Asian championships for the last 15 years.
Hmm.
I know that Indonesia has the talent of players to
Hmm.
be able to be one of the strongest Asian teams. But the let's call it the volleyball IQ
Yeah.
that will allow the Indonesian national team to develop, because it's they like people don't like to change so much. But there is a way that things can change in a positive way, and I'm really hopeful that I could be part of what takes Indonesia up in the Asian rankings.
Okay, look, I think that sums up our interview for today.
Okay, boss. Thank you. Is that all you needed? All you wanted?
Thank you. Yes, you have you tell you're a good storyteller.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
can
It must be the
say.
Indonesian side of me telling the mystical, magical stories.
Okay, look, thank you for your time.
Okay.
I hope you get more successful in your career, stay healthy, and say hi for your kids and your family.
Terima kasih banyak, Harry.
Ya,
Nice to meet you.
terima
Nice to meet you,
kasih.
boss. And
Oke,
the next time I visit Jakarta for holiday or for volleyball, I'll say hi to you.
of
We
course,
can have
you
we
have
can have
to.
an S chendol and some tempe.
Oh, that's good, that's good. Oke, thank you teman-teman. Itu tadi
Okay,
wawancara kita dengan
boss.
Luke Smith. Teman-teman bisa menyaksikan video-video kami lainnya di YouTube Bola.com ID, TikTok Bola.com ID, dan juga Instagram kami di Bola.com ID.